pitch black, the moon hidden behind a thick blanket of clouds. Mark gripped the steering wheel tightly as he navigated the desolate highway, surrounded by dense woods that seemed to swallow the feeble glow of his headlights. The occasional flickering of the overhead streetlights cast eerie shadows that danced along the edges of the road. He had chosen this route as a shortcut to get home, hoping to save some time on his long journey. The GPS signal on his phone was weak, and the radio played nothing but static, leaving Mark alone with the haunting sounds of the night as he drove deeper into the forest. The trees closed in around him like silent sentinels, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The wind whispered through the leaves, creating an unsettling symphony that sent shivers down Mark's spine. The darkness outside the reach of his headlights seemed to come alive with unseen creatures lurking just beyond the edge of his vision. Suddenly, Mark noticed a figure standing on the side of the road up ahead. As he got closer, he saw a hunched silhouette clad in tattered clothing. The person's face was hidden in the shadows, and their presence sent a chill through Mark's entire body. He hesitated for a moment, contemplating whether to stop or drive past. A sudden burst of static on the radio made Mark jump, and when he looked back at the road, the figure was gone. He shook his head, convincing himself that it was just his imagination playing tricks on him. However, a lingering unease settled in his chest. The road twisted and turned, becoming increasingly treacherous. Mark's headlights illuminated the twisted branches of gnarled trees, creating grotesque shapes that seemed to move in the darkness. Unfamiliar landmarks blurred together, and the sense of isolation grew with every passing mile. Out of nowhere, Mark heard a distant, mournful howl. It echoed through the night, raising the hairs on the back of his neck. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, and a sense of impending doom settled over him. As Mark rounded a bend, his headlights illuminated a dilapidated mansion off to the side of the road. The sight sent a chill down his spine, as if the very soul of the house was reaching out to him. Broken windows stared back at him like empty eye sockets, and the overgrown garden whispered tales of forgotten horrors. A sudden fog rolled in, reducing visibility to almost nothing. Mark strained to see the road ahead, his heart pounding in his chest. Shadows flickered at the edge of the fog, and he caught glimpses of twisted forms that seemed to materialize and vanish. The unsettling atmosphere reached its peak when Mark saw the figure again, this time standing directly in the middle of the road. He slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching against the pavement. The figure slowly turned to face him, revealing a face obscured by darkness and hollow eyes that seemed to pierce into Mark's soul. Frozen in fear, Mark couldn't tear his gaze away. The figure raised a bony hand, pointing a long, skeletal finger in a direction obscured by the fog. A voice echoed in Mark's mind, whispering words that sent a shiver down his spine. As the fog lifted, the figure disappeared once more, leaving Mark alone on the desolate road. With trembling hands, he accelerated, desperate to escape the spectral encounter. The forest seemed to release its grip as he drove away, the night returning to an uneasy silence. Mark's heart continued to race as he left the haunted highway behind. The memory of that night drive forever etched in his mind. And as the first light of dawn broke through the horizon, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had narrowly escaped a brush. with a supernatural and night drive he would never forget.